On Facebook says I'm live. I'm going to trust it. So, hi. It's been a while since I've seen many of your wonderful faces. It's a while since I've been the weekly well-being person as well. So it's nice to be live, back with you all, and able to hopefully share some of my insights from last week and reflections on what happened on the retreat. I know lots of you were kind enough to sort of text me good luck and ask me how it's been. And I hope that me addressing it, like bringing this to you, is going to be useful, probably more so to those that practice mindfulness regularly. But it also might just be a little bit of insight for those who perhaps have been thinking about practicing mindfulness or want to know a little bit more about what on earth we do as mindfulness practitioners. Um, Perhaps that will help too. So if you are jumping on this morning, it'd be great to know that you're here. Give me some hearts or hello or anything like that, so that I can know that you're here with me. It's always good to know who's on. Um, and if you have any questions and are watching back when we do the replay, then please hashtag it replay so that I'm able to come back to you. So in preparation for this, rather than write reams of notes, I've kind of got some open questions to myself, like what on earth was the retreat and what did you do? So that's like I'm interviewing myself, isn't it? So the retreat is 7 days. This particular one, it's kind of really 5 full days and 2 half days, but over 6 nights. So 7 days in total. But retreats can be of varying length. You guys know I do half-day ones, full-day ones. Um, I've been on 3 day, 5 day retreats before. This is my first 7 day retreat. And lots of the Buddhist centers, the Vipassana centers, will do 10 day retreats. It's quite a common thing that people live and work actually within the retreat center for that time. So this was slightly different because originally it would have been in Trigonos, which is my favorite retreat center in the UK. I haven't been to retreat centers elsewhere, so we'll say UK. In the foothills of Snowdon, absolutely amazing food, like such a fantastic place. So I was absolutely gutted when they said we're going to take the retreat online. And those of you that know me know that I've got two 16-year-olds at home and a stepdaughter. Actually, she was at uni. They're in the middle of their GCSEs. The chances of me being able to kind of observe silence at home, I would have been in this little room and barely been able to get out. So what I did was, although the retreat was online, I took it. I booked myself an Airbnb and took myself away. Now, say hi if you're here. It'd be lovely to know who's here. Um, Now, this Airbnb, I have to say, I went cheap. I went full blown budget. I was in a hut in someone's garden, pretty much. I didn't want anything glamorous. It was a bit less glamorous than I thought it might be, but there's a learning experience in there. I had no real amenities. I mean, I had a shower with hot water, but apart from that, no running hot water. I had a microwave and a toaster. I knew that I wouldn't have an oven. I did prepare for that. Um, I had, washing up bowl. No sink big enough to put a washing up bowl in. Only the bathroom sink. It was primitive. It was a bit like camping. But this kind of almost added to the sort of experience of it all. And so the mornings you would get up maybe 6:30. The first meet was at 7. Silent practice from 7 till 7:30. Mindful movement practice from 7:30 to 8. Breakfast, meet again, and then kind of rotating 45 minutes walking practice with 45 minutes sitting practice, a few times, then lunch, then doing the same in the afternoon. Some of the sitting guided, quite a lot of the sitting in absolute silence, but obviously you're with, I think there are about 30 of us together in total. Um, Full on, couple of hours in the evening to break for dinner, and then more a Dharma talk. So the person leading the retreat giving some insight, some wisdom, talking about practice and our relationship to practice, and some insight into mindfulness. Really interesting talks in the evening, and then another practice to end. So this was the same every day, and good, because there wasn't anything else to do. The objective is to completely unplug from life. No technology, no reading books. We did journal, so I wrote lots of little journal entries. I tried to limit that because it would be very easy to just write the whole time as a way of distracting myself. So why do we have to disconnect from the technology? Essentially, the retreat is like a whole 7-day mindfulness practice. That's what you have to consider it as, that we're attempting to just pay attention to this moment as often as possible. Now, obviously, there are lulls in that because we're human and our brain goes off doing its own thing when it chooses to, but as much as possible, as best we can, coming back to this moment over and over again, whether we're eating, and I ate every single meal mindfully, and that was, that's a whole talk in itself. Whether it was walking, and again, there were two types of walking, which was literally up and down my garden, um, 20 paces and then back again for 45 minutes at a time, or walking for pleasure. So I did a lot of mindful walking, but more sort of looking around and looking at the beautiful bluebells and things that were out in the woods. So there was lots of longer walks as well. So my watch recorded some good steps over the time. Karen would be very proud of me, the number of steps that I did during the retreats. But some of that was literally walking up and down, either outside or in my hut, actually going about 5 steps and then back again. Something really interesting in exploring just this mindful movement, paying attention to each foot on the floor, each step that you take. So that's kind of what it was, right? And the point, what is the point? That's my next question. You see, what was the point? This deepening of mindfulness practice, to really take it to absolute extension of the practice that you do. And because you are practicing, those that have been on even just the shortest of retreats know that one practice following another practice does really support that deepening of practice. So you can imagine what it was like after sort of 4 or 5 days. The ability to connect with the present moment was really quite profound, and it wasn't boring. As much as lots of people that might watch this video might think it's bonkers to do what I did, there was something absolutely amazing in spending the time just paying attention to each little thing, because we often don't. We're just disconnected with what we're doing. So even down to, I mentioned mindful eating, but I would wash up like one spoon at a time, really taking care over washing that spoon up. Then I would dry it and take care over drying the spoon. Then I would slowly walk it to where it lived, the other end of the little hut, place it down. I would walk back, do the same with the fork, walk back, and so on. Because what else was there to do in those downtimes, except pay attention to what was happening? And of course, you notice all kinds of ways in which you react, and you're really in contact with your own experience. So, like, one of the key insights was how ahead of myself it's so easy to be. So, for example, I'll be doing one activity, screwing the lid back on the milk carton, for example. But I'm already kind of in the fridge as I'm doing that. I can feel that draw of being somewhere else, ahead. So if we can catch that, if we can notice that's what's happening, then there's that kind of aha. I see aheadness is here, and I can come back to just literally being interested in the fingers turning the lid, in the lid going on to the milk carton, into lifting the milk carton, into opening the fridge door mindfully, placing the milk into the fridge mindfully, and so on. And this absolute absorption in every activity that you're doing. So that was really interesting, because one of the things that we were encouraged to do, and you'll notice this, those that come to practice and things, I will include this more as some support and advice, is to really embrace all those different aspects of our who we are that come along. Now, we're always talking, aren't we, about being with things that are difficult emotions and how they show up physically. But what I got a bit of insight in was regarding how I related to the thoughts or the busyness that I kind of is what we practice, isn't it? Is letting go of that. Oh, here's Mrs. Busy or whatever. That's what he encouraged us to do, to kind of have them name them. Um, Letting go of that and trying to come back to the present moment. And actually, what we were encouraged to do, which was super helpful, I had a real insight, is instead of kind of letting go of that as if it needs to go, is kind of welcome it in. Now, we of course we talk about this with the Rumi poem and with our emotions about welcoming it, but I've never really done this with my thoughts as much as I did in the last week to actually say, okay, busy mind is here. Come on in. We're just meditating now, so sit with me while I practice, rather than have that sense of I'm not listening to you now, which almost makes the voices louder. Go, right, okay, you want part of this, come on in, and noticing what happens. So there were real lovely moments like this where I was literally shifting the way of relating to my own busy mind. Um, and the other thing, because there were these gaping holes of space of time sometimes between practices, particularly around the dinner time, where I would kind of be left with, whoa, what is there to do now? I could meditate, but I've been doing that all day. Like, actually, what is there to do except just pay attention? Um, the creative ideas that popped in were just amazing, and it's really given me some insight into what to do with uh, how I can what to do with all these ideas. Thank God for the journal because I could jot them down. But how mindfulness might help with opening those windows of creativity to those who get a bit stuck. So I was thinking about how people go and retreat to write a book, or not a mindfulness retreat. They'll take themselves off somewhere to get a job done. But the pressure that comes with that is that you're supposed to be creative in that moment. And I'm sure for people that don't practice mindfulness, having that pressure of suddenly, right, you're supposed to be creative right now, could be a huge sort of block or barrier. I know it would to me if I'd just been told, right, be creative this moment, I'd freak out. But suddenly, of just giving ourselves this enormous amount of headspace to take away what was happening at home, what other people are doing, anything other than life, even the need to speak, to converse and think about what you're going to say. None of that was there. So all of a sudden, there's this clarity, this space for stuff to arise, whether it's my brain trying to entertain me or what, but stuff to arise that just was like, wow, how have I never thought I could do this before or that before? And I wasn't really indulging it because I would have drifted off down a rabbit hole of creative ideas. But I would jot notes, and I hope when I really properly reflect through my journal that they'll make sense. So I've acted on a couple of them already that just stayed live for me. They stayed there because they feel like the right thing to do. So what else have I got here in terms of questions for me? So who would benefit? Right. So obviously an intense 7-day retreat isn't for everyone. I think many of you that regularly meditate with me would be okay doing well at least a few days, and I thoroughly recommend it. I cannot tell you how restorative it is, how the benefit of unhooking from gadgets and technology, what that alone brings, what deepening the mindfulness practice and slowing down, and this ease of living when there's no pressures, how restorative and helpful that can be. And I would thoroughly encourage you all to consider a retreat. Um, I obviously tried to organise one this year over a weekend of like 3 nights, and I fully intend to do something similar next year. It's not going to be possible this year, I think, but I would love for you all to experience a retreat environment, and actually one where you get cooked for, and that even that is taken So you can really absorb yourself in the tastiness of food and don't have to think, oh, what am I going to eat tonight, or whatever it might be. Um, so anyway, that is my brain dump, my first kind of bringing together of what happened during the week. I found it incredible, and I really, like I say, would recommend it to anyone who's considering it. If you want to go sooner than next year and you want some recommendations of who might be running retreats, it's probably online at the moment that you're going to get. But please hit me up. Let's have a chat. I can certainly direct you to the places that you'll find retreats that will be valuable ones. And it might benefit you to work with some other teachers. Did I say that? I don't want you to. No, that's fine. I can take it because actually you learn so much from different people, and a retreat environment is the perfect opportunity to kind of to see how someone else teaches, and the different insights that you get from working with an array of different people in the same way that different guidance can be beneficial too. But I hope you'll all join me on retreat next year as well. It'll be wonderful to have you all here. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there because I don't want to bore you too much. And other things will come up over the next few weeks. There's so much content that I've got to kind of disseminate into. Actually, that's a topic in itself, like the mindful eating thing. That was incredible in itself. More about mindful walking. It's something that, particularly in the online courses, we haven't been able to give enough credence to because we're often in a bedroom or somewhere small, and it's, perhaps not had enough emphasis, and it needs it. Um, and also some other strategies of things that can actually just really help with practice that I had as either insight or from Fritz, who was our one of the main retreat leaders. Yeah, I hope to share lots of that stuff with you over the next few weeks. But thank you everyone for joining me. Like I say, please do chuck any comments in the chat below. Chuck wasn't a very nice word, was it? I will come back to you on anything, or I'll see you at practice, and you can let me know any questions that you have. But in the meantime, I wish you all a wonderful Thursday, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.